Welcome to the LUHU Advisors Show with your host, Paul Solomon. LUHU Advisors is your one-stop call to help quarterback and organize all your needs for senior planning, from finances, insurance, long-term care, and estate planning documents. At LUHU Advisors, let us help you with planning for the future. Now enjoy the show.
Hi everyone and welcome. This is LUHU Advisors. I am your host and owner of LUHU Advisors, Paul Solomon. I am a licensed real estate broker. I'm a licensed insurance agent. I am a licensed assisted living administrator, and I am a certified senior advisor. And I wrap that all together and I help families, baby boomers, and the seniors understand how to pay for long-term care and how to protect their assets. It's something that I started about 13 years ago based on my own parents, and it created into a business of mine. And it's just evolved into helping families every day understand how to get their money in a position to protect it or help to get assets covered and make them last as long as possible, for the rest of their lives. Tonight's show, I'm honoring my dad. It's been 3 years tonight that my dad passed away from dementia, Alzheimer's. It was a long battle that we had, probably over 7-8 years that he struggled with it. And it's just something else that helps me deal with other families that I come across, because it seems like that is the prominent thing that most families are dealing with. How to deal with just the day-to-day activities of someone that's going through the process. You can't read a book about it. You can talk to family, you can talk to friends, you can go to a support group, but when you're living with it day to day and being that caregiver, it's really hard. Tonight's show, we're going to talk about a couple different things. I was just with a family, and they were a couple. They were living together probably, I think, for about 20, 25 years. They never got married. And the man of the house is showing signs of dementia, and they really do need help in their house. And one of the first things I always ask every client is, have you updated your legal documents? Now, one of the things I'm not licensed for or certified as an attorney, but I've been around legal documents for the last 13 years, have my own legal documents that were drawn up by an attorney. That it's something I bring up because it seems like every day when I speak to families, they might mention, yeah, the documents have been updated. Yeah, Mom, bring out your documents. Yeah, we just did them a couple days ago, a couple of years ago. I look at them, it's 10, 15, 20 years later. And I mean, time goes fast, we know it just blows by. But when it's 15, 20 years later and possibly from another state, the documents were drawn up, it's usually a good time to review those documents. We're talking about a power of attorney, healthcare directives, living wills, if they have a revocable trust, and even we're talking about deeds, different things that a family might have that they think their mom or dad are really looking into, but somebody else in the family really needs to look into it. So I was talking to the lady of the house tonight, and I said, all right, show me the power of attorney for the man you're with, and everything was in place with him. And I said, what about yours? And she said to me, oh yeah, I have everything under control. And I pulled out the documents, and her power of attorney was really not in order. Her deed in her house was set up to go to probate, and that's something that we see and talk about all the time, how these families have their homes in either their mom or dad's name, they're not set up into a trust, or they don't have a special deed attached to it, and that could be costly as time goes on. So the deed today was just in the mom's name, and I said to the adult children that were there, I think this is one document that you should really take a look at. I'll bring it up to the attorney. I think personally that the deed should be one or two different ways. If you want to set up a trust, the attorney could set up a trust. If you think that this other type of deed would work better for the family, let's talk about that. So Again, it is about the planning aspect when I walk into the family, but the legal documents are usually the first and foremost that I talk about. And especially, this time of year when all the families, the adult children, they're coming down, the weather's turning a little bit up north, and you're getting to come down to see your parents, it's the best time to start looking at their legal documents and really looking at their financial accounts, their bank accounts, and making sure that beneficiaries are put on these accounts. If it's a trust, make sure the trustees are in place. So many times I look at documents or I look at accounts and people have either died, so it's either their spouse that's on there as a beneficiary and they're no longer alive, or they were divorced and they still have their divorced partner still on there, and that could mean trouble. I mean, that could be devastating to a family when they think if it's an insurance policy or a bank account and they have their divorced person still on this account because they just never got around to it, or they thought when they went to the divorce attorney that the divorce attorney magically was going to change these documents around and change the beneficiaries. It doesn't happen. And unless you have somebody that's on top of it or really knows what they're looking at, you really have to spend some time. So I'm shouting out to all the people that are listening and have family members that are from up north, around the country, that are coming down to spend time this holiday season with their loved ones. Take out their legal documents. I know it's not an exciting topic. Take out their bank accounts, go to the bank, make sure they're the right people on these accounts, because I've seen it time after time where it devastates the family.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yep.
So they say they're not the right people on the accounts, but you think they're the right people on the accounts. And I'm flying in from New York. My parents are here. I'm here for a long weekend. I don't know what to do. I don't even know what bank to start with. I don't know what these documents should say. Can I call you at LUHU and you'll help me, or you'll get me to the right person?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of my consulting end of it. So, I get paid different ways. One of the ways I do get paid is a family I helped in the beginning of the week. They said, listen, we're not sure what we need, but can you come in and talk to my parents and myself? And this person the daughter was down. She just went back up to New York. So we were on Zoom. And we went over the legal documents. We went over the father thought he can get VA benefits. We went over that. We talked about Medicaid. The parents really needed help in the house. They really needed to sell their house. The house was too big. But they were just having in that indecision on what to do. So they called me in, spent 2 hours there. And now at least they have the right information, the true information. They didn't need to see an attorney at that very moment. They will need to see an attorney because there are things that need to be changed and done. But yes, that's kind of how the conversation starts, is by me coming in, just seeing what's needed with the family.
And to follow up that question, things that need to be needed, different philosophies for different people, different trust factors. If you got siblings, a sister or brother, sometimes they disagree and they don't agree. How do you resolve all of these different personalities, and how does the group, because I want to talk a little bit about the people that you use to make these things happen, but you're quarterbacking the plan and telling them what to do?
Well, I'm feeling out the family to see exactly what needs to be done within the family, within the house that they're in. Are they planning on staying there? So then if they're staying there, now we have options. What are we going to do? How are we financially going to pay for the house, pay for care at home? So we have to then bring in a home care agency. Is Medicaid an option? Is VA benefits an option? And then we just start stepping it from there. So the planning aspect can stay pretty focused, or they can expand depending upon, are there 3 kids, 2 kids? Are they here locally or around the country? Who do you love more? Just kidding. But that comes down to who the one really should be in charge, because one person needs to be in charge. If you set everything with Anne, because I don't really want one son or daughter to feel bad because I'm showing I love one more than the other because I'm only having one on the account, yeah, you got to get over that, because really to have both kids on there at the same time makes it difficult for one person to go to the bank or one person to make a medical decision. Really someone, whatever their background might be, whether they're here locally or not, someone really needs to take the lead when it comes to that. And I help them go through that. I go through it with them and I explain to them, you can't have all 3 of your kids on these legal documents with an and. and, because then all three of them, you'd have to be in the same room on the phone together to make a decision, because the professionals are going to say who's really in charge. Well, nobody's in charge, but all three are in charge.
What's the phone number to reach you again?
My phone number, my cell is the best number to reach me at 954-540-6609. You can call in. We're here live at 888-994-4995, Studio A. We're here every Tuesday night, and we'd love to have questions by families. There's so many questions that the families have, I know, because I get them every day, and the information is just hard to come by. So again, this family I was with tonight, we're going to do the planning. They hired me to do Medicaid planning for the man of the house. He's showing signs of dementia. They want to keep him here as long as possible. He had about $200,000 in assets, and that could go pretty quickly. You know, the cost of care, anywhere between $20 to $25 to $27 an hour, depending upon how many hours a day, can go pretty quickly. I mean, he was a young 87 years old. He really wasn't, he wasn't an old 87. And I say that in jest because, you know, people, their age is their age, but some people look younger and older when, at their age, and he looked fine. He just was showing signs of dementia. So what I'm going to do is take that money and make it last an extra year, 2, 3, or 4, whatever it might be, with getting Medicaid benefits to come in there. We're going to move the assets around like we can in the state of Florida. We're going to avoid a 5-year look back and do everything transparent above board with Medicaid and get them approved, hopefully in the next 30 to 60 days. It could be that quick.
Now, Paul, I got to ask, because I read that the market this week is supposed to fluctuate. It's been going down, and for some reason, it's going the opposite way. I also heard more stuff is coming into the country again, and that should lower inflation. I don't know how much of this stuff is true, but isn't it better to start now on an upswing to get those plans that you talking to people? Isn't this a better time to start? Give you a call and start now before it fluctuates down again?
Yeah, I mean, when's the right time? When is that person going to get sick? When do you need to tap into your assets, on the up market or the down market? And you just don't know. So when I deal with a lot of my clients, it's just amazing how many people are in the stock market at 75, 80, 85 years old, the way the swings are. And again, I have plenty of friends that are financial advisors, and they say, yeah, you got to be in the market, you got to take the good with the bad, and it always comes back. Well, at 75, 80, 85 years old, how quickly is it going to come back? To me right now, educated or not, with the stock market, it makes no sense whatsoever. They come out with all these things monthly, whether inflation was off by a little bit. So because it was lower than anticipated, the market went up 600, 700, 800 points in a day. Then the next thing, for no reason, next day, it was down 400 points. The seniors can't afford to take these swings that we're in right now. The good part about the way the economy is that the interest rates on whether it's not so much a CD, but there's other places like I deal with insurance products where you can have your money in a safe place, have access to it, and these products are paying 4, 5, and today I just saw 5.5% over 3, 4, 5 years. With the death benefit, protected from the market, better than the bank. So there's places to protect this money because we just don't know when you're going to need it, and that might not be the right time. And if it goes down like it's going down and you need the money, you're never going to make it back. I mean, I saw something in the paper today, some article I was reading. You know, if the market, if you have $100,000 and it goes down 30%, so now you have $70,000, to get back to 100, you got to go up 43%. Not just the 30 or 30 something percent, it's got to go up 43%. So can you afford to do that? And I just, you know, I protected my parents' money. I got them 1, 2, 3%, and I was happy. My mom's now 94. She didn't think she was going to live this long, but now I have money probably until she's 100. If she decides to live that long, great. But if I didn't step in, their financial advisor would have devastated them. So you just got to, you know, you just got to talk. You got to talk to your family. Parents don't always like to talk about their money, but it's something that we really, I mean, up until a couple of years ago, I was talking to my parents, and I just had to keep pounding them. We have to protect the money. And they just thought, which a lot of families, because again, I'm going into a lot of families, the parents think that the kids are out for the money. And I got to say, in some cases, they're right. But in most cases, I think the family is more worried about the money lasting than them actually taking their money, because they know how expensive it's getting. One thing I see with all of what the families, as they get older, including my own parents, they have no idea what a dollar's worth when they get to a certain point. They just have no idea how expensive things get, whether it's the bills, whether it's food, whether it's gas. But the cost of care and the cost of being in the hospital, they have no idea, even though it might have happened to friends and other family members. That's the downfall of all this, is protecting as much as you can.
And it may not always be money we're trying to protect with our parents. You can help with placement, whether they age in place at home or find a smaller home. Maybe they need aides, maybe they can go to a facility. You can help with that guidance as well as the finances.
Yeah, I mean, the resources I have, again, who do you trust? So if we had a conversation and you like me and you say, you know what, I think I could trust Paul to help me with this situation, I bring in other professionals. I'm not certified or licensed in everything, but I have, whether it's a senior placement person that, let's call it like a real estate agent, but they specialize in independent and assisted livings. They can even help you with nursing homes. They're a free service. You just have to find the right person, and there's a lot of people doing this service. Some of them do the right thing, some of them don't. They're just looking to place to get paid. But the couple of people that I deal with, I know from my experience, they do the right thing. They take you out, they take your family out to the different communities to make sure that it's the right place, because every community isn't created the same. And you have to go and taste it, feel it, smell it, touch it. You can ask me my opinion, but you know, if you want to Google any assisted living, they're going to have 2 stars or 3 stars. That doesn't mean they're bad. Okay, that just means that one of the family members were not happy, or multiple family members aren't happy. But I got to tell you, in a whole, there are some bad ones, but you need a professional to help you with that. Same thing with their home care agency. I have a couple that I deal with. I've hired a couple from my own family that I trust. Are they perfect? No. I mean, they're only as good as their aides, right? So I know the owners of the companies, but they're getting aides coming in that are qualified. They do double, triple background checked and everything else, but you don't know how they're going to perform with your loved one. So you have to make sure you find the right home care agency. I give out a couple names. They'll do interviews. You can interview the aides and have them come out and meet your mom or dad to see if there would be a good match for the 2 of them. I hired an agency. I had an aide for a couple months, and she got lazy. And I just knew that she got lazy. I was being told by even the administrator that she was getting lazy. We got rid of her. We got another one in, and the second one was better. They were on top of things, and then we ended up letting her go, and I realized that the community my mom was in was now the right community, because I had to move her a couple times, and they were able to take care of her.
But you can do that because you're here. What if a family is out of state? Do you have a geriatric care manager that can come in and help oversee mom's placement, or are the aides doing what they should be doing?
Yeah, I mean, a geriatric care manager, again, is part of my team also. Somebody here locally in Boca, I think she has 10 or 12 different nurses or people underneath her that specialize in going out, and they're going to go to the hospital if your loved one's in the hospital and you can't get here. They're going to see what the discharge papers look like, making sure the medications are there when you get home. They're going to make sure that the home is equipped to make sure that if any equipment's needed for that home, that they're going to do that. And they're not priced crazy. I mean, it's per hour, depending upon how many hours you need them. So it's not a full-time help person, but if you need them to check in every day, every week, they're there, and they're your eyes and your ears, and it's so important. Somebody's got to be an advocate, because it's just wild and wacky out there. Hospitals are crazy. Rehabs are crazy. I mean, so you really need somebody out there. I was fortunate for my family to be able to be here and yell and scream at people and dictate how things were going to be done, because they don't always do the right thing. And not to say that I'm a doctor and I understand exactly what's going on medication-wise, but I know my dad, and I know a reaction of something that maybe the doctor doesn't see, or they're going to wait a couple days when I see him within the first hour or 2 he's reacting to something. So a home care agency is important. Geriatric care manager is important. A placement person is important. I'm important to help you kind of figure this all out. And, you know, Unfortunately, everybody waits till something bad happens. I mean, I personally, everybody that has been listening has listened to my story and my dad. We can only do so much, right? So we try and prevent as much as we can prevent. And we tell our parents and our loved ones what could happen if there's not something that's done immediately, but sometimes we wait. And hopefully from that time of injury or something happening, they bounce back.
Then I'm curious, what's the best age to call Paul?
You know what? Age is really about more the health situation than not, because a lot of what I do, people are over 65. Unfortunately, I've been getting clients that are in their early 60s with dementia. And that's the sad part about it, because how much longer are they going? I mean, they can live for years. And look at that expense if you're not really prepared for it. That's where long-term care insurance comes in. And people think they can't get long-term care if you hit a certain age. Like I've explained before, I try to get long-term care for my dad at 79. And he would have been able to get it, but his dementia was just too far gone, and there were knockout questions. So there's ways to do it, and everything's not an expense, but as I say, as an investment. You're investing in yourself, you're investing in your family, because if there's nothing there, who's going to pick up the pieces? And it's a financial drain.
If I'm 55, Paul, is it cheaper for me, even though, and I should be healthier at 55 than 60, 65?
Right.
Isn't the long run cheaper? Or do these products go up in price as you get older?
Yeah, there's so many different products now out there that people just don't know about. So if you're around my age, mid-50s, and you saw with either your parents or grandparents had a long-term care policy, and and all you did was hear them complain about every so many years, the rates keep going up, and then they get to a certain point, even like my own in-laws, they get to a certain point where affordability becomes a factor, and now all of a sudden the insurance company says, well, if you can't afford it, then let's cut back coverage. And that's kind of one of the worst things you can do. It's better for the insurance company because of the risk, but that's one of the worst things, is to cut back on that. So yes, the long run for long term is to get it younger. And if you buy it where there are policies out there where that the premiums don't have to go up. The one I have with my wife, our premiums are stable until we hit 90, I think, or 95 even. So our premiums won't go up. Am I paying? So does that mean that I'm getting as much coverage? Probably not, as opposed to somebody else that can get more coverage, but then have their rates keep going up, and then what becomes affordable or not. So insurance is a tough thing because no one's ever 100% insured. So you have the people that are self-insured. Now you have to have a lot of money that you're going to blow through for that. But there's got to be a sweet spot, and that's kind of where I come in and say, okay, let's have some type of insurance. And with the policies today, a lot of them are based on life insurance, so there's a death benefit, or even return on premium. So you could pay in for 15 years, win the lottery, and say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, and get your premiums back. So they can be built for anybody at any age.
How long does it take for a sit down with you?
It's funny, somebody said that the other day, how long is this going to take? And I took it negatively, like, you're going to rush this? Why do you want to rush this?
No, I mean this in a positive
No, I'm just saying, but the other day, when the daughter called me, she was like, how long is this going to take? Like, I'm busy, And I said, it can take an hour, it can take 2 hours. I said, it's really up to you and how many questions you have and kind of how difficult are the family dynamics, financials, and everything else. We sat there for 2 hours, and we probably could have gone more. He had some great stories, the old man. But we ended up 2 hours, and it went by like that. And there was a consultation, so they paid me for the 2 hours. And they said, wow, I couldn't Google this. I couldn't ask 16 different people because you had answers about everything, of things you don't do, but people that you work with. And you gave me a great sense of, maybe it is the right time to sell the house, scale down in the house. I don't think it's time for an assisted living for them, maybe independent living. I really didn't understand what independent living, the differences were. Independent, assisted, and even a nursing home. And maybe I should keep them in Florida, even though I'm long distance, better than having them in New Jersey with the cold winters and bringing them up here. But maybe a geriatric care manager, which I never heard of, is the right person to be my eyes and my ears, take them to the doctors. So there's an answer for everybody. We just have to sit down and understand the family and the family dynamics and the financials and the legal documents and what really do you want to do. And we could build a plan around that.
And you'll help quarterback all of this. One call to LUHU and you can help put all these pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah, you're getting me. I mean, I could say I wish I was so busy that you wouldn't get me, but I make time for everybody because usually we have a conversation and, you know, people have to think about it, and then it takes another week, and then it takes another week. So, you know, there's 40, 50, 60 hours in a work week, and, you know, I work on the weekends too, and families can't meet me during the week. I'll meet them on the weekends. I just know in my heart that people need the information that I have. And there's nobody else out there that I know in South Florida that can give you that information and not look to say, okay, it's going to cost you X, but we're going to do this, this, and this. I'm going in there solely just trying to open your eyes and see what's available to you.
2 hours and it could change your life.
Yeah, and save you a lot of money. And again, between taxes, I'm not a tax advisor, but I understand taxes, your real estate, making sure to protect that, and then your finances. So again, reach me anytime at 954-540-6609. You can get me at my website at LUHU Advisors, LUHU Advisors.com, or paulsolomonpa@gmail.com is my email address. So it's always on, and I will be the one calling you back, not any of my assistants. So thank you for this evening. I hope everybody got some more information and really got to understand a little bit more about LUHU Advisors, how I operate, who I deal with, and maybe some of the stories I tell are something that you can relate to, something that you're going through right now that maybe I can help you with just a phone call. No charge for those. After that, then we have a consultation, or then the fees that come after that. But anytime, again, 954-540-6609. Have a great night. Thank you for being with me.
Thank you for watching the LUHU Advisors Show. Tune in each week for more tips and strategies for starting the conversation with your loved ones, from senior housing to financial planning strategies. Contact Paul Solomon at 954-540-6609. We'll see you next time.